Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Bianchi. We're looking at number 8. They want you to find the surface area of the figure, and this one's a little tough because we have big numbers and you can forget about some of the sides. Now do recall that we have 5 faces on this thing to find the area of, and then we have to add all those faces together to find the surface area of the entire thing. So let's start with these triangles, which we have 2 of, by the way. We have the one in the front and we have the one in the back. If we're interested in finding the area of one of the triangles, then we'd be using the formula half of the base times the height. But I want to remind you all that we have 2 of them. So we're going to multiply the product of all this by 2 to get the area of both the front and the back. Let's substitute in the numbers. The base and the height have to be perpendicular to each other. So if it's a right triangle, which it is, and they tell us that with this little perpendicular symbol, then we have to use this and this as the base and the height. So 24 is talking about the length of this line. We'll use that as the base. 7 is talking about the height of this line. We'll use that as the height. Substitute them into the formulas. So we have area equals, and we're going to multiply that by 2 because we have 2 of them, times half times 24 times 7. All right, next, let's do what we can in our head. Now, anytime you can do something in your head that results in a more user-friendly number, then I'm going to suggest you do that. Many of you can do half of 24 in your head and get 12. Half of 24 is 12. Now, if you couldn't do that in your head, you would take out your calculator and do 24 and divide that by 2. Let's write down the numbers that remain. And remember, we have to multiply by 2 because we have 2 of them. All right, so we'll do 12 times 7. Now, if you don't have a calculator, you do the algorithm off to the side. Here we get the 14. Here we get the 7 plus the 1 more is 8. So this times this is 84, but many of you knew that in your head, which is really great. Now we have 2 of those. So one of them would be 84, but remember we have the one in the front, and then we have this one back here that would also be 84. So that's why we're going to multiply this by 2. So if we find what 84 times 2 is, this times this gives us the 8. This times this gives us 16. So the 2 of them together would be 168 square inches. All right, so this one's 84, and then the one back here is 84. Those 2 things add up to be this number right here. All right, so I wrote it on the figure, but let's erase it so we don't get confused because we're going to talk about one of the other faces of this thing. How about we tackle what we might call the floor of this thing? So I'm going to highlight that in purple right here, this thing right here, and you trace that very well, but you kind of get the idea. The floor of the ramp. It's a rectangle, and the formula for area of a rectangle is area equals base times height. Now, if it helps, it's not a bad idea to somewhere label, what you're tackling. So you might want to put something like floor, and then over here you can put the 2 triangles, just so you know what you're calculating. Good idea to do that. All right, so if we try to figure out what the dimensions are, remember the base and the height have to be perpendicular to each other. So what numbers would that be? This is 18, this is 24. This would be a right angle. They're perpendicular to each other. Let's substitute those numbers into the formula. 18 and 24. All right, let's use the calculator to speed things up just a bit. We're going to find the product of 18 times 24. Let's clear the calculator. 18 times 24, and we get, see if we can move that up a little bit. We get this number, 432. This times this is 432 square inches. All right, so that takes care of that piece. What about this piece back here? What would the dimensions of that rectangle be? It's also a rectangle, so let's write the formula, base times height. And we might call this the back of it. This line is 7. How long is this line? Well, If this is 18, doesn't that mean that this has to be 18 also because they're opposite sides of rectangles? This is 18, this is 18. So this is a 7 by 18 rectangle. Let's substitute the numbers into the formula. Area equals 7 times 18. Now you're going to, on your own, you're going to find what that product is, and then you'll have the area of the back. I'm just going to leave a yellow box that you'll fill that number in. All right, but we're not finished. So we have, what we'd call the back of the thing. We have what we'd call the floor of the thing. We have the two triangles. But what about, we got this, What about the ramp part? So let me highlight that in blue. This part, that's the last face we need to cover. Now, this is pretty easy to figure out, 18, but what's the length of this? See, they give you an arrow and they're pointing at it. That's talking about this line. This has to be an 18 by 25. Area equals base times height. Area equals, and again, it's 18 and 25. Do you see where the numbers are coming from? This line and this line right here, 18 and 25. All right, so either using your calculator or doing the standard algorithm for that, you're going to find what that product is. I'm going to leave a box, but you're going to find that number by actually multiplying. I'll leave a yellow box. All right, now let's talk about how you find the surface area of the entire thing, because we have to add all that together to get the surface area. So what are we adding? We're adding this, which covers the two triangles, right? That's this triangle and this triangle, because each one recalls 84. We have the floor of the thing, which I highlighted here in purple. We have the back of the thing, which I have here in red. You're going to multiply 7 times 18 to get that, and you'll add that. You're going to multiply the 18 times 25 and get the top part. And all these things that I have in yellow, you'll add them all together, and that will be the surface area, and it'll be one of these choices that you're going to pick. So look at the choices and mark one of them. Good luck finishing that up.